Hello everybody, welcome to this podcast, Building for Peace with Hannah Jewell. I'm Hannah Jewell, your host, and I have with me today Sampson, a dear friend. She is an earth keeper, a mother, and the founder of Luna Rhythms Yoga. Welcome to the podcast, Diana.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here with you. It's always a beautiful honor.
I just thought I'd ask you first about the moon. Luna Rhythms Yoga. Luna obviously being the moon and rhythm being related to that. When is the first time that you really connected deeply with the moon?
Obviously as a child, I remember getting blankets as a child and going and sitting outside, often by myself, sort of in a garden, and I loved getting wrapped up really warm. I loved it in all weathers, and just looking up and seeing the stars and lying under and watching the stars in the night sky. So I've always found it a place of comfort.
And so, you grew up here in the UK?
Yes.
Yeah, so even in the winter you just loved it.
I loved getting all cozy and wrapped up and just sitting under the stars. Yeah, and I think that was always there. And then when I trained with the British School of Yoga as a yoga teacher in 2006, so I was ready to go out and start teaching, there was this a recognition that I couldn't just parrot my teacher. I needed to find my own way of expressing the yoga that needed to come through me. So it was like a prayer, like I was praying, who am I? How am I going to express myself in this yoga expression as a teacher, rather than feeling like I'm somebody else? Because you have to start off parroting your teacher, but then you need to find your own voice within that. And I was teaching, and one of my students said, "You're always talking about the moon. I want a one-to-one with you because you seem to know a lot about the moon. You're talking about it." And I was thinking, I don't know much about the moon. So I went off. I said, yes, I'll have this one-to-one with you. And then I went off and did more research. And it was this man that triggered me looking into, this is the way. Because I've always found the moon fascinating, and this is my way of finding my own unique voice within the yoga path and the yoga, many teachers in the journey to find my way of expressing it. It took me quite a long time to really feel confident that this was something that could be a way of teaching, for me to fully embrace Luna Rhythms Yoga. But since 2007 I've been sharing Luna Rhythms Yoga.
Yeah, isn't it like this? People see us often much more deeply than we see ourselves, especially in that period where we're becoming, where we're, metaphorically the butterfly coming out of the chrysalis. Yeah.
It takes a long time, I feel, for us to, well, maybe it's different for everybody, to really believe in the message that one has. For me anyway, it was my journey of self-belief, but it didn't happen just like that.
No. I feel that each one of us has a unique vibration, like a unique sound, and we could call this our personal medicine.
Yeah.
That is the quality we bring to the planet. In Sufism, they'll often give you a name, a Sufi name, that speaks to this quality.
Yeah.
And it's given by somebody else to you. They see that in you, and then it draws it forth. And each one of us is meant, to live that vibration. We don't need to live the other person's vibration next to us or that one, just ours. And together we make the whole symphony of existence.
Beautiful. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So this is fascinating about your relationship with your teacher and your lineage. I was talking with a friend today who said when she became a yoga teacher, she felt a lineage behind her, and it was different. We can think about yoga, everyone's doing it. Meditation, everyone's doing it. You can just learn it from a book and teach it. But there is something really different about being based in a lineage, finding your own expression with that. What is your relationship with the teachings that you carry?
I think they're timeless. A lot of them have come from thousands of years ago. They've given me a foundation for which much healing has come from. A foundation of healing, coming back to myself, of strength, of balance, of connection, and a springboard for me to explore in a safe way my own expression of that. So I feel a heap of gratitude for it. And actually I sort of had it there, and then I went away from it, and then I came back to it. So it's like I had to move away to find my own self, and then recently again I've gone on another journey with a beautiful wise teacher. She's in her 70s, called Padma Devi, and she runs the Heart of Living Yoga Foundation. And I was given a Sanskrit name by her, and different sadhanas to practice. And it's brought me back into the lineage. She came from the Satchidananda lineages of yoga. And of course there's been troubles along the way with all the different lineages, and all the troubles that have come from people in power not being of integrity fully. Yeah. And then having to move away and found their own foundation. So she formed the Heart of Living Yoga Foundations, the teachings never changed. Yeah. The teachings stay as pure as they ever were. And she carries the torch of the pure teachings from a pure heart. And it's really beautiful to find a wise woman teacher that I really feel I'm learning from. So that's been amazing. So there's different journeys in that. I think it's always wonderful to find a teacher that you can connect with,
really connect
and
with,
learn from, and deepen.
It's amazing that women are really finding this place of purity. There's been a lot of distortion of that power, especially from male gurus. This is so wonderful to hear, Diana, about the purity of the heart being carried through. We've had so much misuse of power, not only by yogic teachers, but spiritual masters, that echoes the misuse of power within governments and corporations. Yeah. And I feel like as this tide is turning towards the feminine, fully embodying herself, this desire for harmony and purity is coming through. And how beautiful that you are a pearl in a line of women doing this.
Yeah. It is lovely, and the Heart of Living Yoga Foundation actually is charity based as well, so a lot of the monies, it's all of service, we're being of service working for Padma, and it goes to children in Brazil, India, and various other countries around the world, so it also feels like a really beautiful time of giving. Her motto is, I give, you give, we all receive. I think it's so beautiful that, so pure.
Beautiful. Well, what about children doing yoga? Because you're talking about this going to the children. Maybe there's finances going to children or shelter. Are they being taught yoga? Because I know the Dalai Lama has said that when we get all children meditating, we will see more change in one generation than the previous 4. And this is really pertinent for us right now.
Yeah. I think children, of course, I don't know if you've taught children's yoga. I have taught children's yoga in the past, and it's a beautiful gift to give, and getting down into it. You have to be like a child to teach yoga, get into there. Can't teach them like adults, you teach them getting down to their level and behaving like a child. That's how I taught it. So yeah, I think there's always yoga for children, and there always will be. And I think it's more and more coming into schools. You often more and more hear it in schools and in minutes. So I think it is a thing that is on the rise.
Yeah, and taking that child's perspective, I teach exercises with breath and movement that I call healing yoga, but it's not like asanas. It's movement that's working with energy.
Okay.
And I find that in teaching this to adults, I apply some of the principles that I would use with younger children, with the creative movement, to open up the freedom of the body and the expression, to work with color and shape and get down into the floor and let the breath come more freely. It's almost like each person needs to become that star of who they are in this space. I really want to hear more from you about stars, pearls, the sea, the moon, and how this is moving through you, because these metaphors are all really potent in this moment.
I feel like it's very simple. We overcomplicate things. Connect to the crystalline light of the earth, connect to the stars, connect to the heart. It's very quick to connect in that way. Grounding cords, connect there, connect there, and immediately you're like, breathe, move, connect. And I'm not a yoga teacher that will be doing any fancy moves. I don't find that appeals to me. Connection to Great Spirit appeals to me. Yoga's a doorway into finding that deep connection. Because when you're connected in that way, then everything becomes in balance. And that's what I share. So the movements are a way of just getting out the way of any of those tightness or tension. I feel like that connection, yoga along the way, you get a stronger body, you feel better, you get more energy, more chi, so that you can connect to the stars and the moon and the earth and the heart and the animals and your relationships in a much purer, more balanced, simple way. Overcomplicated, isn't it?
So you're talking about strengthening the body, strengthening your sense of connection, and letting the prana or chi, life force, move between yourself and the planet.
Yeah. These are the priorities. If you forget these, then everything's harder. So if you have a discipline, a sadhana, a commitment that you do this on a daily basis, then everything becomes easier. The answers become clearer. So it's just really looking at what your priorities are. And if everyone could do that, which more and more people are, but making it a real commitment, and that takes practice. This doesn't, my sadhanas now happen on a daily basis. It's taken me really up until my children have left home, and for me to have that space now. So if you're out there and you're thinking, this is too hard to have a sadhana, and you're making it sound easy, it's not easy. It takes commitment and it takes dedication, and there's a beauty in it not being easy, because then you get stronger as a person, that you've gone through all this for 20, 30 years to become. And that's why we get wise as we get older, don't we? Because we are refining our art and getting better and better at it.
Yeah, we get more efficient. Yeah, and slowly that clarity comes. Yeah, so you're almost talking about a path of doing and non-doing interweaving together. You're doing the practice, but you're actually non-doing. You're not over-processing, you're not searching, you're allowing connection to come, you're allowing a sense of reciprocity to be formed and embodied slowly over time.
It's to live from the heart, not the head, is the practice, isn't it? To live from our hearts and not the head, and then to use the mind in a more efficient way as a result, because you're living from here. I think that's the path of the heart, and for all of us.
So what does the path of the heart feel like for you?
Connected, joyful, deep, loving, fucking magical, excuse me. All of that.
Yeah. You're so joyful. I just love spending time with you because you're always laughing and giggling, and the heart is like a fountain.
I get in trouble for that giggling. Sometimes when it's inappropriate, because I giggle when I'm nervous too. And
I'm sure you giggled all the way through your training. Do you giggle when you teach?
Sometimes. Yeah, I giggled when I came out with my mum. You know, I was always, I was born like that, she said, 'cause she had postnatal depression, and she used to, I used to cheer her up, because I used to be always sort of gurgling and giggling as a baby. So I think you do have some nature come in with you.
Yeah. Yeah, a fountain of joy and bliss. So you talked about your practice being sometimes difficult and taking time and needing patience. When you come to those difficult moments in your practice, how is it that you shift that?
The difficult moments are like, I've not always been able to practice every day or focus or concentrate, or I start something and then I can't see it through for many years, gosh, including going to a homeopath or an Ayurvedic doctor and getting medicines, and I can't even complete the course. Literally, like, what's wrong with me? Why am I doing this? And it's that frustration of, why can't I just see this through? Why can't I even sit for 15 minutes and not, or why can't I just do sadhana for 6 weeks and not give up after 2?
And then you give up, and then how do you get yourself started again?
Well, you just start again because you feel you need it. And I'm a teacher, so it's easier for me because I teach every day.
Yeah.
So it's part of my life. So it's easier for someone that doesn't have that. So I chose teaching because I knew there was a laziness within me that wouldn't do this, and I felt like I had to do this. To start with, it came from physical need.
Yeah.
I'm being honest, I'm not doing this for service, I need it. That's where it came from in my 20s.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's grown into something that I would never have believed at the time. I also did it because I had 2 small children, and I thought it'd be better than being in the life of theatre, which is where I was. Then I could be there for them. So it came from service to my children, not because I wanted to serve the world at that point. I didn't know the bigger picture of it. I didn't understand the journey that I'd go on.
That's really, really wonderful to come out and to hear. In this age where we're all presenting ourselves as a self-made guru across social media platforms. I remember when I was in my 20s and this incredible need to dance, and this healing yoga that I teach, these breathing exercises, and discovering them. And there isn't, like, my body has to do this or I'm uncomfortable. But not having the maturity yet. I hadn't met my own spiritual teachers yet at that point. But my body needed to move. And that is a stage of the journey. Rumi says every stage of love must be honored.
Yeah.
We don't get to skip it.
No.
Actually.
Yeah. And so sometimes you feel like a fraud teaching. I did anyway. Like I'm not good enough, or I'm just, it took a long time to settle into feeling confident. And probably only until the last few years, really, if I'm being totally honest, I feel completely at peace with myself as a teacher on the top there, where I am right now. And there's more to come, so I'm very excited by that.
Yeah. The energies that come through when you're doing yoga for the waning moon or yoga for the waxing moon, the different ways with the pranas moving through the chi and the postures that you're choosing in those times. And you not only choose the way the energy flows, but where you do yoga on the beach, you do yoga in the oak grove, you teach in these unique locations. Can you speak to that a little bit, the way that you're making your choices as a teacher and moving through and space?
Yes, so nature is the teacher. So nature tells me what I need to teach on the day. So wherever the moon is, whatever it's doing, what sign it's in, affects different areas of the body. So then I work on different parts of the body in comparison. Because if we think that we're hanging, a blue marble planet hanging in space, and all of the other bodies, planet bodies, aren't affecting the energy of the planet in some way, shape or form, we'd be, I think, ludicrous to believe that we don't get affected by these bodies that don't seem so close, but they are affecting the energy. And so the scientific studies on which parts of the body the moon affects in its different signs is what I worked with.
Okay.
So then I can teach, and then I always get, gosh, you always seem to know exactly what I need today. I mean, maybe all yoga teachers get that. You must know what I need. But it just felt like, well, it's because the nature it's not me, you know.
So nature is really...
Nature's the teacher, yeah.
What you're following.
Exactly.
That's the answer I was looking for, Diana, is where is this really coming from?
Yeah.
And it's from your connection with nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think many people are doing now because we feel that calling, because I do love the teachings of the Hindu, the tantric philosophies and the classical traditions of yoga. I love all the myths and the stories. I also studied the Norse traditions, and I was in a coven for 13 years studying those, but those stories, I never could remember them. I can never remember the stories of Ganesha and Shiva and Freya and all of these sort of, I'm not a storyteller, and on some level they're man-made, and so they're coming from not the purest spaces, the more older teachings, the earth-based traditions that are coming even more before the gods and the goddesses, even though I love all of that, you know, I love it. And I love thinking about the qualities of Lakshmi or the different goddesses. I've got a Sanskrit name, Bhuvaneshwari, which is like goddess of the world. I was like, really, me? I can't say that. I don't tell people that very often because I have only just given it and it feels too big. So I do love it, but the nature teachings are what I feel is more simple, and I find simplicity easier to teach than complicated stories.
Yeah. Well, this is wonderful. A lot of us need encouragement that simplicity is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that living a simple life is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're at a place right now where the world is just experiencing conflict. And as I alluded to earlier, meditation for the children, yoga for the children can help change that. Our connection to nature, a sense of reciprocity can help change that. But one of the things the old Sufi masters, the ones writing in the 11th century, always said, is that Western man has this need to go everywhere and complicate everything and seek. And if that can just be stilled.
Yeah. Well, with going into what we're talking about, the war, one of the the thoughts about that is like, because we live in this world where knowledge is, the whole world is at our fingertips, whereas if we were in the 11th century, we'd only know about our village and our surrounding. We wouldn't know about that war. So these wars are in our face, graphically in our face, where they've been going on for many hundreds of years, but we wouldn't have known about it. So now we're in this overwhelm because we've got all these information, and it's terrible. It's terrible for us as a planet to witness such harm, and yet we're actually really quite helpless as to what we can do sitting here. One thing, I do feel gratitude that I'm not there. Like, I feel gratitude for the peace that we have here. And so for the war that's there, I can shine gratitude here, even more grateful that we are not living there in Israel right now, or Gaza, or Ukraine, or Russia. Now that might be tough to hear, because I do feel gratitude, because we aren't living like that. We are very lucky. And what can we do about that war? We can pray. We can carry on spreading the light, but we can't change we cannot help them right now in that respect, but we can pray. And we can keep shining gratitude rather than go into overwhelm and despair.
Yeah, our joy makes a difference, actually, because the vibrational field of the planet is a whole. And each one of us, that quality, that medicine, is imprinting the electromagnetic field of the whole. And our joy makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Our gratitude and our stillness. What is it to truly embody stillness.
Mm.
I believe we might get some answers about peace if we can actually do that. And for me, that comes from accepting simplicity. Stillness comes from not needing more, needing bigger, needing faster, needing more depth, more wildness, but letting the senses relax. Yeah. Shavasana at the end of a yoga class is very important. Yeah. When I'm teaching, I like to give at least 10 minutes for it, because I find that people have gone through a process, and then it's in that place of stillness where they're communicating with their soul.
Yeah.
And that to me is the whole reason for doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I always say this is the most important bit. I agree with you. I always say that. It's like the asanas that are working on the history of your body.
Mm-hmm.
And the breath is about being present here, learning how to be fully present. And the meditation is working on your future self. The shavasana is the ultimate letting go and, like you say, absorbing and being with your soul and absorbing it. So yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. What are some of the other influences on your yoga practice and your life? Do you work with other traditions and other ritual, vibrational capacities?
Yeah, I mean, in the last few years I have been working with the Huniquin tribe from Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Through my partner Ulrich, who's got a big connection. I probably wouldn't have gone down that journey if I hadn't met someone who was so involved. Again, it's something that I wasn't looking for, but it came to me. So I was like, okay, I'll see, I'll experience this and see. And again, they work very much with nature, as a nature practice, with working with the Huniquin tribe. With such joyful music, joyful chants. I can't tell you how much I love their music. I absolutely love it. And you know, even if you were never working with the plants itself, just to listen to the music would be enough, because it just takes you there. You know, it was a wild experience to go on such a journey with plant medicines. One I didn't think I would explore, but I do feel the journey of having my yoga practice for so many years, so that when I came to it from a place not of need or being out of balance, but being in balance, but going to just explore, helped tremendously in the experience of sitting and then being on teams and helping people with that, because I was able to navigate those realms because I feel of the path of yoga. So the two coming together are a beautiful mix, because they're the same really. Yoga is a shamanic practice, you know, but just in a different expression of it.
Yeah, I say the same thing. Yeah. That actually Sufism is a shamanic practice. Actually, all of the Sufi masters are really deep, powerful shamans, but they're just working with vibration in a different capacity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the yogis are in the Himalayas, or the woods of the Himalayas, or the thousands of years ago. Probably it all comes from around the same time. That's why I explored the Norse traditions, because I thought, well, if I'm studying India, I'm a British woman, I live in Europe, I want to know what was happening in my country, so I explored that. And again, there's pros and cons to a lot of the different traditions. Even with the Huniquin tribe, there's beauty and there's not.
Yeah.
It's the same everywhere. So it's like, okay, we take from it, and actually, can we actually ever get away from the shadow? We can't. We can see it in the walls. It's always going to be, it's part of the human condition, I think. Now, I really believe that. We can't really appreciate the light without this shadow work.
Well, creation is that coming together of opposites, and it's that combustion of them, and in that moment we have an opportunity to choose love. And I believe that's why we're here as humans, to go to that moment where we can choose love again and again and again until there's no other choice that we make. And every one of us is in a different place on that journey. We don't know how many times we've lived to come to the place where we are now. You know? And there really can be no judgment.
No.
We just never know what's going on with another person.
That's true.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about the plant medicine on a physical level, because is that, you know, say inflammation in the body, very healing for me. I've done quite a lot of Cambo and other things, and it really, the healing on the physical level for me, it was me working on a physical level, because my mental, emotional body feels good. So for me it was a physical thing, amazing for inflammation issues.
Yeah. In my work with plant medicines, the physical healing comes first. And if the body needs physical healing, this is what we attend to first. And people can come looking for big experience, but actually the physical healing is always, if the body cannot hold a vibration, then going to some big experiences might crack the mind. It might create some disharmony. So that physical healing is so delicious.
Yeah.
Then the emotional comes. Then we begin to plumb the reaches of our consciousness and into interdimensional treasures and communications. I think the yoga path is the same in my experience of it. The physical healing comes first, and the states that I can access through meditation or through Sufi whirling and prayer and plant medicine are the same. Deeply visionary, deeply informative, deeply healing. But if my body can't get there to hold the vibration, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Which is actually why yoga is a beautiful practice to have within all of that, because it does work so beautifully on this.
So yoga has, different paths or pillars. Meditation, breath work, body movement. I think in some traditions, mantra is a huge part of it. Are there certain pillars that are more important? You've mentioned the body a lot, but are there 4? Are there 5? What are the ways that you understand?
Yeah, so actually I work with all of them. So I do, I work in 6-week cycles according to the wheel of the year. So we work with different mantras and mudras and pranayamas and movements as we move into different seasons. And that shift happens every 6 weeks. So I'm incorporating all of those different, and also within the waning moon and the waxing moon there's different mudras as well that work and mantras, so it depends what you want to do. There's so much you can do.
I forgot that you do this really interesting work with mudra. Tell us a little bit about that.
Mudras are brilliant because your hands are here and you can direct energy into many different areas of your body just by having different positions with your fingers, and also it gives dexterity to your fingers because they also stiffen up as you get older, and it's just amazing. You can be walking around, say you're feeling ungrounded, say you've got to go to the mall or the shopping centre and you're feeling a little bit out of kilter, Prativi mudra, ring finger thumb, grounding, earthing. This one is for the heart centre, Hridaya mudra. It channels the heart energy here.
I can feel that.
Apana mudra. This takes the energy down. So if you're like busy at night, full moon for example, and you can't sleep because you're energetic and you want to sleep, this one. This one's called Apana, the downward movement of energy out. Don't do it if you're pregnant, because it induces labour. If you are near to giving birth, you want to give birth, you use this mudra. So there's so many. I mean, that's just a small snippet of what you can do with your fingers in the day. Because it's your practice is your practice, but it's for your day, isn't it? So you're using your practices into your daily life, and then you find eventually the more you practice, the more you just naturally utilising these tools without really thinking about it. It becomes a habit.
Part of your existence. Just sitting here with this mudra that brings the energy down, which I used to do sometimes when I would whirl naturally, because you're accelerating so much.
Yeah.
I guess I was balancing that.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're depressed, you don't do it. If you're feeling low, then you would do it prana mudra, for example. This one, that takes the energy up. And if you're too high in your head, you don't want to be doing prana mudra, so you're going to do a prana.
We all have our natural inclinations. The balance. We need to know ourselves to balance ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Well, holding this mudra here, feeling it, I'm reminded of Indian dance, and it uses so much mudra in the movement. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in it, but I love to explore with it. And I'm reminded of how the eyes are important as well.
It's amazing because we forget the eyes. So like if you're doing a cat stretch, for example, everyone knows how to do a cat stretch. You're looking up and you lift your head. But if you use your eyes, then you get to use the eye muscles, and you also get the neck then is able to move so much more. So using your eye muscles get more extension. You're utilizing the muscles because they need using, otherwise they get lazy and we have to wear glasses. You use them. So everything I'm doing, you've got to use your eye muscles as well, because you get more extension, more twisting using your eyes. Try it.
Yeah, definitely try it.
And the jaw, because as well, you're using your eyes and relax your jaw, and then you're getting even more extension, because the jaw, the eyes, they all affect how much you can extend and flex and move the neck and all of that kind of stuff. So really simple things to strengthen your body. Another wonderful one is that decompression breath. Did you ever teach that?
I work with the diaphragm reflex here in the elbow that relaxes the diaphragm.
Oh, nice. You have to show me that. How does that work?
So you crease the elbow and right up from the bone towards the crease. In the soft spot there, you take your thumb, and it's always tender. Every time you find it, it's tender. And just a few deep circles. It feels so good. My diaphragm just softens and my body naturally takes a deep breath. Did you find it yet?
I think so. Is it like that?
It's going to be right in here. Right like that.
There's probably so much breathing I do that I'm probably soft.
No, it's good. There it is. You know it immediately because it's tender.
Oh, nice.
And there goes the diaphragm softening.
Thank you.
Yeah, tell me about this diaphragm decompression breath.
Well, if you have your fingers like this, and you sit with your thumb on your lower rib and your little finger on your hip.
So for those who are just listening, the two middle fingers are down on the
get your
palm
index
of the
down,
hand.
Index as well. So three fingers
fingers down.
And you're just taking your thumbs to the lower rib, and your little finger to your hips. And then just sit up uncross your legs. Take a deep breath in. Your rib cage lifts. And as you normally breathe out, your rib cage is going to go down. So just breathe out, let your rib cage go down. That's a normal breath. So you take a deep breath in again. And then as you breathe out, you hold the rib cage. So you're decompressing the spine. So you're breathing out, but your rib stays lifted, and you feel your tummy strengthening. And then you take a deep breath in again, and you find more length. And then you keep the lift of the ribs. Now this is really helpful.
Wow, this is extending my lumbar spine.
It's so tall.
Wow.
I know, it's so good. It's called decompression breath, and in practice, when you're doing your postures, it's so useful because you're not doing anything really. It's a very small effort to keep the lift of the rib cage, but it's doing so much. It's strengthening your core, it's elongating your spine, and it's creating a safe practice. That strong core in a lot of the postures is important for safety. It brings a center line, an anchor through the center.
Oh, wow, that's a wonderful discovery. Yeah. It reminds me that the spine is like your spear.
Yeah.
Upright in every circumstance.
Exactly.
Also your emotional body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what like yoga, those practices are. It's like it creates this beautiful center through your body, from which you are the eye in the center of the storm that whirls around you, and you're just staying centered, and you're staying balanced as the storms rage through of life, and of wars and of conflict, and you stay in that center. And that's so important that we all do this so that we can not go into overwhelm and anxiety. And if we can teach the teenagers, we're just moving into that talk of the anxiety that our teenage and our youth are experiencing, and the self-harming and the challenges that they face, and the increase of that in these times, because these, for some reason, they haven't. Hopefully they will embrace these teachings, and they'll come to those teachings through the suffering that they're experiencing, through the traumas of anxiety and overwhelm. You know, that's what I pray for. But yeah, there's been a big increase.
The anxiety is epidemic.
Yeah.
And there are many organizations doing research that give predictions like 4 out of 5 people will have a mental health disorder by 2040. Really dire predictions like this. And our young people are deeply affected. I know that you've done a bit of work with mental health and anxiety alongside of your yoga practice, and this is coming through now. Can you tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, I work for an anxiety recovery program for kids between 12, so maybe actually 8 to 24. Mostly the kids that were coming in were sort of between 12 and 18. And they would be children some children wouldn't leave the house, they'd be staying in their bedrooms, self-harming, suicidal, school refusers, and so many of them. And CAMS is what is offered for children, the free help that is given, where that most families are pointed towards to go to CAMS for help, and the queues and the waiting lists for these are enormous. So you might not get seen for a year, but that's a year in the life of a child who won't leave the house is too long to wait. So then they're having to look for private sources to try and help their children, which a lot of us are finding anyway that we need to do through wait lists, etc. So it's prevalent across the board. So we were a private organisation when people came, and we certainly believe that the ways in which children are looked after within CAMS isn't working. And even though they're doing their best, it's actually not overcoming what's happened, because when you have anxiety, the anxieties come from something that's happened within that person's life that has been a shock or a trauma or something that's made them very scared. So the body then goes into fight and flight, and it gets stuck in fight and flight unless you learn how to address fight and flight. So no matter how many pills, how many talking therapies you go to, that fight and flight, if you keep talking about the problem, the fight and flight's still staying there. The body still thinks there's a tiger to fight because the fight and flight is there. So again, it's an overcomplication. It doesn't need to be complicated. We need to address the fight and flight, the physical symptom of it, not with a pill, but by talking. It's a simple process, and we would heal. The children that came to us would leave, and they wouldn't need to go back for pills. They wouldn't need to come back again for talking therapies, because they learned how to control the fight and flight and understand why they were having these overactive thoughts and why they were so terrified that they couldn't go out. It's a re-education of what anxiety is.
So it's educating us about how we are in charge of our body's responses.
Yes.
So it's empowering. It's
Exactly.
giving us agency. And I'm thinking particularly in my experience of many young people who got very involved with Extinction Rebellion and some of the protest movements. Their anger and their fear is in many ways justified. But as you've said, addressing the whole climate, addressing a war somewhere else in the world, is not really possible for a person of 12, 13, 14 years of age. But what they can address is their own bodily response to it. And to come into that place of stillness, then maybe as they mature, they're a solution maker.
Absolutely. And another beautiful thing about this program is that we address the whole family, because anxiety affects the whole family. Mm-hmm. And parents didn't really understand how to cope with that, and so often without them realizing it, they were making it worse by either enabling them with their anxiety because they were scared, either the child is having huge aggression because of, anxiety causes a lot of aggression, can do differently, it's expressed differently in each way, but if the carers are not addressing it in the right way, it makes it worse. Mm-hmm. So it's educating the whole family, and it's all about space, not reacting, not giving it any credence, not giving anxiety any power, not feeding the wolf. Mm-hmm. Simplifying, and understanding it, so you don't have to be afraid of it anymore. It's the reptilian brain, it's not really, it just thinks that I've got something to fight when I don't. And it happened because of this, and now I understand that. Now I understand what anxiety does, fight and flight does to the brain, and all of these strange, I'm not dying, I don't have a serious heart condition, or, there isn't, I don't know, some terrible thing that's going to happen to me next week if I go into the school, or those types of things. Anyway, it's important work. It's not rocket science. And I really hope that these simple systems can come back into all of our lives, all of our systems.
I'm just feeling the depth of healing for the whole family. And actually, if we look at what our children are bringing through and the needs they have as opportunities for the whole family to heal, that's another shift that could really massively work through the collective consciousness for the better, instead of seeing them as wounded, as Generation Z, without hope, actually seeing their needs as something that we all will be benefiting from as we address them with care and hope and love. Yeah.
It's not an easy journey. I've got kids, 2 sons, and 10 years ago they were in their teenage years, and I struggled like hell to cope with it as a single mum with them and what they were faced with and their anxieties. I didn't, if I'd have known what I know now through the trainings I did there, it would have been better. You can't beat yourself up about it, and we've got through it. It was a little intense, but we've got through it and we've come out the other side. So for all you mums out there, don't have mum guilt. You do your best, you're trying your best. You can't have mum guilt.
No, it's the same. It's the same with me. I've got 3 children, and one of them had a more difficult period in the teenage years for a while. That was really challenging. I didn't have all the skills I needed, even though I'm a wonderful healer myself. She needed something that I didn't have. And we did get through it, and there is forgiveness and there is open communication.
That's the key.
That's the key, and now that can be something that we all learned from and we all healed through together.
Absolutely.
Diana, this has been such a wonderful conversation. We touched on so many incredible things. Is there anything you would like to share with us that feels like it wants to come from this place of your heart here before we finish?
Feet on the earth, anchors deep into the earth on a daily basis. Connect to that energy, vitality, light, crystal light, whatever your thing is. Connect to the universe on a daily basis. Send your anchor up and connect to the stars and the moon. You'll immediately feel a zing in your body, and then take action. And that's all I can share. Come into your heart and then take action.
So simple and so profound. I'll put that on my whiteboard in the kitchen.
Thank you for having me. It's so beautiful to be with you. Thank you.
It's always a joy to spend time with you. Thank you, Diana. Anybody who would like to talk about anxiety, yoga, culture, being human, please do respond in the comments, get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. All the ways to contact Diana will be in the links, and thank you for joining us today. So much love.